Look at how she's sitting, bro. Take me on some real.
Wait, what he mean? Isn't that like a normal way of how people just cross leg when they sit?
Let's go inside the little X-ray machine. Let me stick it all the way inside you. Let it snap.
What the is going on right now? Is that what is he holding? Is that like a is that like a ping pong bat or some shit?
A picture.
What is that?
Your skeletal frame with my inside your rib cage or some.
What the is going on right now? Okay, we back at it again. Today we're gonna be watching the most hated characters in Personas by Nero. The thumbnail is like Morgana, so let's see.
Kyo mo neoze. If you translate that, it turns into let's go to sleep for today. That is the famous line
Already off to a good start.
from Persona 5's Morgana. I think he said those words as many times as there are waves in the ocean. There are
Or 63.
lots of waves in the ocean. He can also say things that derive from that. Aren't you tired? Let's call it a day and get some sleep. No, Morgana. I don't want to go to sleep, even though I'm tired. Why are you telling me to sleep? I thought Persona 5 was all about standing up to societal corruption, and you're telling me to conform to this idea of replenishing my energy and getting an adequate amount of rest is the best thing I can do after nearly dying 8 times in mementos? No, I will not stand by this idealistic corrupted view of getting rest when I clearly want to do more activities out of my own free will, Morgana.
Holy shit, imagine. I know he's making a joke, by the way, just to be clear, but imagine thinking like arriving to that conclusion from hearing someone just saying that, like, go to sleep. The crazy part is that it's actually somewhat true to nowadays, right? When you hear a certain trigger words, you can see like a group of people, I'm not gonna target specific group of people, they just already have like the entire train of thought about who you are or who that person is from hearing a certain trigger phrase.
Anyways, we're going to talk about the current mascot of the Nero channel right here, Morgana. He's widely disliked by the Persona community.
Oh, but he liked it, right? Because it's his character. I think he used it as his channel icon.
So we're going to uncover that. Also, I'll make my points on why I think he doesn't really deserve that hate.
I don't think anybody deserved anything. Let's go.
Introducing Persona 5's official mascot, Morgana. Morgana is one of the founding members of the Phantom Thieves, maybe the actual founder of the Phantom Thieves. Look, we don't need to go over his whole introduction of his character and an analysis. Morgana is the most annoying Persona character, according to a lot of people. Like when I mentioned in the beginning before, Morgana is always restricting the gameplay. Oftentimes, when you've done a certain activity during the day and then you want to go outside again in the evening, Morgana would say that you would rather sleep and take some rest than hearing Takemi's voice lines over and over again.
Like, look at how she's sitting, bro. Take me on some real.
Wait, what he mean? Isn't that like a normal way of how people just cross leg when they sit?
Let's go inside the little X-ray machine. Let me stick it all the way inside you. Let it snap.
What the fuck is going on right now? Is that what is he holding? Is that like a baseball? Is that like a ping pong bat or some shit?
A picture.
What is that?
Your skeletal frame with my inside your rib cage or some
What the fuck is going on right now?
real. Please.
100% of the time
Skip,
that
thank
did
you.
happen was when you enter the palace or the mementos. After that, you could
Hey, by the way, I have no problem if you have those kind of thought, okay? It's just kind of weird when I hear it out loud.
not go outside again at night. You entered, doesn't matter what you did in the palace or
Except
the
if I said it
mementos,
myself.
just sneeze inside and scroll through Instagram reels for an hour, you're effectively done for the day. He says you're tired and you should go to sleep. You can't do anything about it. Also, Morgana blocks you from
So here's the funny part. You see, I didn't know this, but apparently I didn't know this before, but apparently if Morgana is like down like that, you can leave, I think. Like if he up on his full leg, you can. And I think there's another animation that might be in the middle that I don't remember, that might let you go downstairs but cannot leave. But it's actually different. At least in the royal version, I think that's the case.
He says you're tired and you should go to sleep. You can't do anything about it. Also, Morgana blocks you from doing activities before a big event is coming up, like a boss fight, even though there are no visible reasons to block you from doing activities. I'm sure a lot of you know and experience this when you keep hearing Morgana that you're tired or let's just sleep for today. It can get annoying to a certain point. A big reason why we love Persona is because we get to explore the world inside it through confidence or social.
Yeah, it's actually annoying because it sounds like he's preventing you from doing it, but it's actually more of like the Dave doesn't want you to do it for whatever game design reason. There might be other way for you to do it, but like for example, you could try to just leave and then you have a thought bubble say like I should be sleeping right now, but then technically it's sort of the same, I guess. Right? It's just different person is saying it, or you could just have a menu popping up, but I guess because Morgana is saying it, it makes it feel like it's the Morgana that's stopping you from leaving, which is super random, I guess. But it's understandable. It's understandable.
In fact, the biggest factor on why the Persona games are popular are because of that confident or social link system. And Morgana always blocking or not allowing us to do activities in the evening or even sometimes after school is pretty frustrating. Persona's progression is based on a calendar system. You progress the game by advancing to the next day. You can only do 1 to 3 activities in a day, so you have to make things worthwhile on that day because you only have about a year to do all the things that you want.
That lady in the middle, she doesn't like this movie.
Also, some confidence in the game require your social stat to be at a high level, and raising your social stats level takes quite a while. It can even take you until the end of the game to max your social stats. So when Morgana blocks you from doing activities on the day where it's limited to how many times you can do in a day, it's understandable that people will get annoyed by him. This type of mechanic has always been in the Persona games since Persona 3. You can
I guess it's just gonna try to build up to what I just mentioned, where it just directed just because the game design they make Morgana say it, the hate is directed toward Morgana, but in a sense it's not like it's Morgana's fault, it's just the game designer think about it and they don't want you to leave.
only do one activity at one time in a day. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but that's just how the games work since Persona 3. In Persona 3, you can go to Tartarus at night. Most of the gameplay takes place at night anyways, and after you're done exploring the Tartarus, you immediately advance to the next day. I think there are certain times where you're not allowed to do some activities because of the story purposes, but it's not similar.
For nighttime in Persona 3, every day you need to be able to allow to go out. Well, not every day, for most day, because that's the only time that Tartarus show up. It would be kind of stupid if you can't. But there's only a couple of social link you can do at night, which is the Devil, Tanaga, and the monk. Is it just only just two? Maybe there is just two. And yeah, I think Tanaga show up more often, but the monk is like sometime. But generally the night slot is super open for Persona 3. The big problem, well, not to me, actually it's not a problem, but some people say it's a problem. During the last month or so in Persona 3, there's like a lot of night slot where you just don't know what to use because you already did everything that exists except going to the dungeon.
To Persona 5 where you go to do some dungeon exploring and then you can't do anything afterwards. Same case with Persona 4. In fact, the system in Persona 5 doesn't even make sense when compared to Persona 4. Persona 4, you go to the TV world during the day, and after you're finished exploring, you come back to the evening, just like in Persona 5. But in Persona 4, even though you've explored the TV world beforehand, you can still explore and do activities in the evening. Nanako doesn't go up to you and say that you're tired and you can't go out in the evening. Dojima, well, no matter what activity you did.
Yeah, so it's just like the game design, right? Like people keep trying to say it's like logical or whatever like that, but at the end of the day, I don't think the game designer care too much about logic than most people think. They just it's the same with movie as well. People don't really care about logic as much as you think. What they care about is just believabilities. As long as it's somewhat kind of believable, they just kind of let it go. They don't think so much about like, oh, this is how the real world is or whatever. I mean, it's a world with like, what, you can go to a TV and there's like some shadow and shit. So it was never logical to begin with.
did during the day. If he's at the house at the evening, you can't go out regardless. But with Persona 5, I don't know why they decided to add that blockage into the game. Persona 5 has the most amount of interactable confidence among all the Persona games. Why is it now that it is limited by the game itself?
Trying to think. If you, let's say every night is open, you technically can just go to Shihaya like non-stop. Like you just go to Shihaya and then you would just progress your link so fast. Oh, another person at night is Oya, and sometime Mishima is at night sometime, I think. I don't 100% remember. But yeah, I guess if the night is always open, then you can just always go to Shihaya non-stop. I'm trying to think if that's the same with Persona 3. If Persona 3 Reload, you can go to the shrine, right? I think that's in Persona 4 too. But in the morning, it's the time is much more tight. In Persona 4 and Persona 3, and I think Persona 5 too. Like there's more confidant available during the day. So I think that probably is one of the reasons where, yeah, because the nighttime are more open, there's less confidant before you become full. Because the moment you become full, you just pretty much can spam Shihaya. You can already do that, by the way, with the way that Persona 5 is right now. Like the moment that you finish most of the confidant, you just spam Shihaya, and then you can complete the rest. So that probably is one of the reasons.
Say weird, and I think such a stupid game design decision to be limited on how many activities you can do in a day, when you can only do 1 to 3 things in a day. It's not a lot. If it's for story purposes, that's fine. When I just want,
it's for mechanic purpose. I mean, in Persona 3, it's also for story purpose because they have the whole thing like make use of your time when you're alive or whatever. But after that, this game is not. Another part about Persona game is a time management game. You need to manage your time slot. So you just always have everything available, then that part of the game doesn't exist. But you could argue that it would be more fun that way, but then yeah, there's a reason for it.
Want to advance Shihaya's confident, and I can't do that because I was trying to save Japan from societal corruption.
Oh yeah, that's Shihaya at night too. Actually, I'm kind of curious now how many night confidant there is. Sojiro is both, right? I don't remember. And then but then the morning only are what? Like, I think Morgana is auto, if I remember correctly. This one is morning. This one is at night. 1. I think Sojiro is also at night, so 2. 3, 4, 5, 6. I think this one is both. 7, right? Sun is at night, I think. I think it is at night, yeah. 7. Oh, there's like so much. Yeah, there's like so much for you to do. Yeah, there's like so much for you to do at night. Right? Yeah. But it's not as open as those for the 3 and 4 for sure. There's so much to do. If that's the case, then I think the reason is that yeah, they just don't want you to be able to complete these 2 fast. That's probably is the reason. Because yeah, they're actually quite a lot.
It's very limiting and it gives the player less freedom. I'm not even talking about Morgana in that, because it's literally the game design's fault and it just happened to make Morgana into the scapegoat. I guess the only way to justify this is that players will be aligned with the story progression.
Well, see, here's the thing. That's why he was saying that like the Japanese people, they don't hate Morgana or whatever. Wait, he said that in this video. I'm just talking about the other video. But anyway, it's because like, yeah, I don't know why, but like Westerners seem to be more critical about like this kind of stuff. And they might say it in a kind of memey way, but like Japanese people and Eastern people, usually they don't really complain about this kind of stuff, or they don't really assign the blame that like it's freaking Morgana that did it.
Because they are being held back, not advancing the game too fast, and they are playing in a sort of realistic way in the world.
Not that there's no niche or like a small group of people that does though, but yeah.
Persona. It adds immersion, I guess. So this point of Morgana
it's definitely not immersion. As in like it does add immersion, but that's not the reason. The reason is game design.
constantly blocking you from activities is just Atlus's way of making Morgana into the scapegoat because of terrible game design, and that is Morgana is
Oh, he actually think this is a terrible game design. I mean, it's arguable. It's arguable. I mean, but terrible or not, it seemed to be what they wanted it. So you could just don't like it, but it seemed to be what they want.
basically narrating the whole story and gameplay, so he ended up getting the flack. I know that it's weird to point it directly at Atlus, but the reason why Morgana is hated is because
No, I don't think it's weird at all. I think the way he come to that conclusion is quite logical. I just think that like it's more of a design that he disliked rather than a terrible design. But those were just subjective word anyway, so he could just say terrible. I have no problem with it.
of Atlus. I don't know, maybe instead of hating on the character, maybe think of the decisions that were made by the developer that created the character. I think this point of hating
Should we do that for everything then? If you like a character, you should also not like the character. You should go like the Atlas. Like, wow, I really like the way that the Joker say this, or that's such a cool scene. I love you, Atlas. I don't know. Like I feel yeah, I guess we could just say Atlas good, Atlas bad, everything.
Morgana, to me, is not really justified. It's kind of weird. I've always thought it was just a terrible game design decision from Atlus since the beginning.
It's not justified, but it also doesn't really matter as much. Nothing really happened from people just say that. I guess people might get butthurt if you love Morgana. I don't hate Morgana, by the way. I'm pretty neutral. Actually, I do think Morgana's a really cool character when it's reviewed at. He's like a symbol of hope or whatever. I think that was cool.
When you progress the story during the Okumura arc, Morgana went off on his own and eventually teamed up with Haru to form the Thieves of Beauty or something like that. It was because Morgana and Ryuji had beef and Morgana's
Yeah, I super want to hear his opinion on this one. It's the part where people really dislike Morgana for taking Haru's screen time. Because Haru doesn't really have a strong arc compared to other character, because he thought her arc is shared with the Morgana arc where he get into an argument with Ryuji or something and he ran away. He get the bigger the team become, he get more self-conscious that they don't really need him anymore or something like that.
concerns weren't really being taken seriously as Ryuji was constantly shitting on him. It was something along the lines of that.
They shit on him. Everybody shit on everybody.
Rogue, essentially, because he got his feelings hurt. Now, I do understand why a lot of people find this annoying or they got mad at Morgana for this act. It is childish and pretty annoying coming from Morgana, who is already someone that a lot of people found annoying in the first place. A lot of people felt that this move by Morgana created a subplot that was very unnecessary as it creates unwanted drama and sort of disrupts the story pacing. His decision to leave the group was very abrupt and
this subplot has been done a lot in Persona, I believe. Oh man, I couldn't think on top of my head right now. Oh, in Persona 3, they have this kind of disagreement subplot too, I believe. Misuru and Yukari. But that one was like resolved much better, right? Because you have like Yukari, she doesn't really like Misuru, right? Like, well, she feel that she's just iffy, like she's actually been hiding a lot of stuff. And then Misuru actually did indeed hide a lot of stuff, but then later on, like they solved it. Like, but that entire arc was actually pretty good. And it actually been playing in the background for a long time since the beginning of the story. But I think this one is quite different because it does feel like it been kind of super concentrate and chop into the Haru arc.
it obviously disadvantaged the Phantom Thieves in a lot of ways because Morgana was a member, and I think we all know that every member in the Phantom Thieves is very important. Not only did he put the Phantom
I think this is actually not true, but I don't want to speak out my ass, but I will. I'm sorry, but I remember, I heard that there is a theory to that actually someone make a theory that like Phantom Thief can still run functionally fine as long as I think it's like 3 or 4 member exists, and yeah, I think like I think the one that doesn't need to be there is like Ryuji for sure. And maybe Yusuke. I think the one that like need to be there was like Futaba and maybe Makoto Joker. And I don't remember what the last one. It might be Mogata or Haru. But yeah. Unless you're saying to like everybody brings something unique, then sure. But a mandatory, probably not.
Thieves in a tough spot when tackling Akumura's palace, his actions also kind of overshadowed Haru's introduction and her overall arc. We get to see glimpses of Haru during the start and the middle of the story, so we don't really know or care much about Haru until that arc where we're supposed to care a lot for her character. Compared to Makoto, Yusuke, and Futaba, for example, their arcs were mostly focusing on them. Their introduction, their importance, and their character development was all focusing on them and only them. Haru's introduction was pretty underwhelming. We didn't get to see her
What are you talking about? This is the greatest introduction of all time. She got the beauty thief thing. It's memorable for sure, but yeah, the entire arc is kind of weak.
I think the intro already achieved that off screen with Morgana.
The intro
Morgana was basically taking the spotlight
swag,
from Haru when it was supposed to be her introduction. It's weird because Morgana's character development was taking place when Haru was supposed to be the star of the show during the Okumura arc. And since Morgana took the spotlight, Haru didn't really have much presence and her character felt like it wasn't fleshed out enough. It does not feel like she had much character development through the main story because what was supposed to be her arc. It diverts a lot of the attention towards Morgana. This kind of resulted in Haru not being the main focus on the arc and it felt like Haru was just a secondary character. While Haru and Morgana share moments that highlight their...
True, it does feel like Morgana is a leader here, but by personality, it sort of have to be standing beside Haru.
Mutual struggles with identity and purpose, these interactions don't fully flesh out Haru's character. Instead, they serve to advance Morgana's storyline. Haru's backstory, her
I can hear that sound when she was pointing, by the way, the sound effects. I can hear it.
Relationship with her father, her role in his company, and her arranged marriage actually had potential for emotional storytelling like what we've seen with Mitsuru in Persona 3. However, it was underexplored as the game focuses on Morgana's conflict over her development. Haru's debut as the beauty thief didn't feel like it was something serious, which really undermines the severity of her struggles. This tonal inconsistency makes it harder for players, like me for example, to connect with her as a character. However, I don't have too many problems with Haru nor do I dislike her. As you all know, I like simple and down-to-earth characters.
I fucking love Haru, dude. I think Haru is might be my favorite character in Persona 5. But not in a reason that people think. I feel like Haru is pretty much the character that kickstarted my main channel, so I somewhat can have a bias toward her in that sense.
5. She is an ordinary character you can call among the Persona 5 cast, which has its own charm. It is understandable that a lot of people dislike Morgana because of his antics, and Haru becomes overshadowed by the focus on Morgana's character development on wanting to be in a place where he belongs. However, Haru and Morgana's bonding moments establish a thematic link between their arcs. Both characters grapple with feeling out of place. Haru as a sheltered high school girl trying to assert her independence, and Morgana someone as a non-human searching for purpose. While Haru's introduction is overshadowed, players who pursue her confident route get to see her growth and resilience. So, in terms of the main story, we do not really miss out much on her character and her development because we get to see all of that through her confidant. But because of the focus on Morgana's antics and his development, the Okumura arc was one of the most, if not the most underwhelming arcs in Persona 5. So yes, for this point, his hate or dislikeness is justified. Morgana always...
Jesus! Honestly, I thought he's actually gonna come up with something. I was so ready for it. Oh well, I guess he just say like, yep, you guys should hate him for this.
Always had a condescending attitude towards Ryuji. Since their first meeting, Morgana was constantly shitting on Ryuji because of his brash and aggressive nature. Also, Ryuji is hot-headed and short-tempered. I guess he's just an angry individual? That's the first impression I got from Ryuji, but obviously with his character developing, eventually he became a more likable character. But Morgana always had this condescending attitude towards him that was present until later parts of the game as a part of their banter.
Just some ego.
So, how bad is it between Morgana and Ryuji? Earlier part of the game, notably the Kamoshida arc and the Madarame arc, the Phantom Thieves were still young and inexperienced in thieving throughout the metaverse. With that in mind, it is very likely that the members will have ideas, plans, or suggestions that would put them in imminent danger and are not well thought out. Ryuji, being the person that he is, always had straightforward, sometimes reckless ideas like rushing through infiltration and facing the enemies head on, which is a stupid idea. Because of that, Morgana always calls out Ryuji for these ideas and mocks him for it, making it like he's just all muscle and no brains. To be fair, a lot of the times, Morgana is right, but Ryuji doesn't really hold any of that towards him. Morgana calling out or making snarky jabs towards Ryuji was a common occurrence throughout the game. I think at a certain point, Ryuji was completely fine with the constant comments from Morgana, as it became the go-to comedic moment of the story. However, what pissed people off was that during the Okumura arc, Ryuji said some things that were pretty insensitive to Morgana.
Maybe he's actually not fine though. Maybe he's fine in the sense that like, because he's still new, so he's gonna listen to Morgana, right? Like, because yeah, he doesn't know a lot of stuff. He did, I believe, call him Monster Cat pretty early too, but I mean, that's just pretty cute. But just because someone doesn't fight back doesn't mean that they're fine with it. But I feel like it's more of like respect to for people that actually know more than you. And I feel like later on, maybe they just it might be part of the story development, to be honest. There's a lot of like underneath like subplot, subtext when it's come to Persona game. He might slowly like